This is the past, the present, and the future of our Jewish community. And we have women here who are making this community incredible from their philanthropy. Thank you, Samra. We have community members who have made this place incredible from their long-standing commitment and investment in this community. And we have people here who are just beginning their journeys. And our parents, like me, of children who are at the Gottlieb School or at the ECLC School. And that is a true honor. So I'd like to take just a moment of your time, and I want to tell you a story. It's my story. How I got to be standing on this stage today and leading this incredible organization. And also where I believe we're going. So this story begins in 1958 and 1962-ish, when my two sets of grandparents, the people you're seeing on the screen here, Joe and Anita Hara and Sonny and Lester Mandel, moved to Orlando. They moved into Palomar. How many of you know Palomar? Just a few? Okay, good. And that was when this community was still small enough that everyone knew everybody. My grandfathers came here to build companies, Grater and Tupperware. And my grandmothers came here and they built community. They were not wallflowers as women. Nobody would ever accuse them of that. Ma volunteered her way into leadership and ultimately became the president of the Jewish community of the Federation. Grandma Nee earned her bachelor's in social work, volunteered tirelessly at the Kinneret, was also on the board. And I was then born in 1976 with not a dissimilar amount of hair. And I basically grew up at the J, preschool, Hebrew Day School for kindergarten, now known as the Gottlieb Jewish Academy, where my children go. Summers at JCC Day Camp, where I learned to swim, I learned to play tennis, not well, and I even got married for the first time to Michael Jesser at the Purim Carnival. But plug, we're having one on Tuesday. But what shaped me was not the building, it was a community. One of my formative memories is really of my mom. And it's watching her volunteer with Jewish Family Services. She realized that not every single parent had the support that she did. So she became an advocate for other single parents, ensuring that Jewish children could belong regardless of their family's financial stability. Community does not happen by accident. It is built. At 16, my mother sent me off to Alexander Muss High School in Israel. I think she still regrets that a little bit. I received a Federation grant to go, and I came back to speak about my experience. It changed the entire trajectory of my life. For the next 15 years, I built my career around Jewish communal life and service and Israel. I led programs. I became the CEO of Alexander Muss, the very program that I went on. I led programs. I studied Talmud and Yeshiva. I helped build Limud, which is an incredible festival of Jewish learning in New York. And I celebrated the richness of Jewish learning. And then I completely left, but I didn't really. I moved into high tech. I helped build companies from the ground up in Israel. I raised capital, built teams, scaled operations, took ideas from concept to reality. I learned how to think about growth, how to build something people want to invest in, how to create momentum instead of maintenance. And eventually, I came back. Not just coming home, coming back with new tools, new skills. Because building a company and building a community are not that different. Both require vision, both require courage, both require capital, and both require people willing to take responsibility and risk for the future. Before I made Aliyah, I promised my grandparents I would never go more than 4 months without seeing them. And that was a promise, you can ask my family, I actually held up. That promise brought me back here again and again in all of the years I lived in Israel. And that led me to conversations with my Grandpa Joe about the community, about his commitment, about what he wanted to fix, about what he wanted to change, about who needed to change, all of it. And that is essentially the story of Orlando and the Jewish community. This community has richness, and it also has challenges. When I left Orlando, I could name nearly every single Jewish family who had kids around the same age as me, right? Today we're larger, spread south, west, east. I didn't even realize we're in North Orlando. Never knew that. Lake Nona didn't even exist when I was growing up. But growth is a blessing. However, growth without intentional connection can lead to fragmentation. 12 years ago, my Grandpa Lester brought me over to the Ravenous Pig. Sorry, God. He told me I needed to get serious about my personal life. So I downloaded Tinder. I met Ram. And after 6 painful years of navigating infertility, and with the help of a wonderful surrogate that we are still very close to in Israel, we became parents during the pandemic. 4 months alone in lockdown in Israel. They did not allow anyone in who wasn't a citizen for a full year. With newborn twins, it taught me something. You cannot raise children alone. You need your community. We came back to Orlando for what we thought would be a short stay. And in that short stay, we came here, we experienced Shayna's Village. Those are my kids on the right. Lori Laskin, if you're here. But those moments were really special, and that's when I got to relearn about the J. It's when I got to relearn about what it was like here. The beauty of this community. And then we went back to Israel. And a year and a half later, October 7th happened. The sirens in Israel changed everything. What was meant to be temporary, coming here just so that the kids wouldn't have to listen and run from sirens every day, that was supposed to be temporary, but it became something much longer. Fast forward to today. I am 8 weeks into this role. When people ask how it's going, I say honestly, it's great, and it's really overwhelming. I'm really honest to a fault, you'll find that about me. It's great because I'm surrounded by staff and by partners who care deeply about what we are doing here, because I've met with donors who believe in our future, because every day I get to imagine with others what it would look like for our children and grandchildren to proudly say, I grew up in the Orlando Jewish community. It's overwhelming because we have so far to go. In fact, if I'm being honest, we're like 1% done. So where are we going? Right now, I'm focused on 2 priorities. You'll hear me say this again and again. Building community and building revenue. We are strengthening our Adler ECLC so that it once again becomes the preeminent preschool in the region through investing in teacher excellence. We are rebuilding Camp J into the best choice for families on the north side of town. We are expanding programming for young professionals so that they want to stay and build their lives here. We are deepening engagement for older adults so they feel connected and purposeful. We are building an inclusive community that empowers everyone to gain the skills they need to succeed. But if we stop at programs and budgets, we miss the point. In story after story, I hear the same thing. That's where I met my husband. That's where I met my best friends. The real epidemic in this country right now is loneliness. And our job is not simply to run programs. Our job is to cure isolation. Our community must show up when a young professional is searching for connection, when a couple is navigating infertility and feels alone, when new parents are exhausted on a Sunday afternoon and they just need a break, when teens are searching for identity and belonging, and when they should be choosing Jewish spaces over isolation on their iPhones, community over scrolling, belonging over algorithms. We must build programming that challenges both the heart and the mind. Jewish learning that wrestles honesty with text, Israel education that embraces complexity, conversations that are thoughtful, courageous, and real. And we cannot do this alone. If we are going to reach the Jews who are not yet engaging, the ones who feel disconnected, intimidated, or simply unseen, we must work differently. We must partner creatively across agencies, synagogues, schools, and community organizations. We must innovate. We must ask not, how do we get them to come to us? But rather, how do we build something that speaks to them? We are stronger when we collaborate. We are stronger when we experiment. We are stronger when we build together. And here is my vision. On a Sunday afternoon, the Shalom Orlando campus will be alive, just as it will be on weeknights. Children running through splash pads we imagined, innovative playgrounds that spark imagination, parents lingering in conversation because they've just found new friends. Spaces designed not just at Shalom Orlando, but around the Jewish community, intentionally, beautifully, thoughtfully. Programs that stretch our minds and stir our souls. And when someone says, I grew up in the Orlando Jewish community, it will mean something powerful. It will mean they learned to think here, that they learned to care here, that they built friendships here, and that they found courage here. I wasn't raised by walls. I was raised by a community, by preschool teachers who believed in me, by volunteers who showed up, by leaders who stepped forward, by women who chose to build instead of watch from the sidelines. My grandmothers helped build the community I inherited, and now we have the privilege and the responsibility to shape what the next generation will inherit. The future of Jewish Orlando will not be decided by accident. It will be shaped by the choices that we make now. We are only 1% done, and I am honored to build the next 99% with you. Thank you. At this time, we'd like to thank our sponsors. Can we move to the next slide?